right, and we should be live. So, hello everyone. We are going live in the Facebook group of Intelligent Investing for Independent Women. We are also going live on the Ohana Investment Partners YouTube channel. So, I am really pleased to bring Sonda Eunus. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes.
Awesome. She's the owner of Leading Marketing Solutions, and she is an expert in marketing and networking. And specifically today, I wanted to bring her on the live to talk to the women within this Facebook group and people in general, if you are watching this recording, about the importance of marketing of networking and how you can use networking as an essential marketing tool. So I know Sonda has a lot of networking events. I know you host them locally. I know you and I have talked about co-hosting some in the Orlando area, which I'm really excited to roll out. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you utilize, about your company, and then also how you utilize networking as a marketing tool?
Of course. So my name is Sonda Eunus. My company is Leading Marketing Solutions. We are a full service marketing agency, which means that we can do pretty much anything you need, starting from websites, graphic design, search engine optimization, marketing planning. However, that is pretty much what everyone else does. And what I'm really passionate about is events. And events are something that I've been doing since I was 18 years old, pretty much, starting with comedy shows and college loft parties. And now here I am over half a decade, well, over 15 years later, and pretty much doing this on a professional level. But I never thought that it would be something that I do as a career, but it's truly something that's always been in me. And it's that underlying love for, and I guess curiosity of getting to know people, right? And learning more about them, speaking to them and asking them questions in a way that will actually get them to relax and trust me and tell me things that are actually important and that matter to them. And then we can start forming genuine relationships, whether it's business or not. You know, a lot of the people that we meet at my networking events are my friends. Actually, no, all of my friends I have met at my networking event. Right at this point in my life, because as we get older, as we all get busy, we don't have time to really hang out or keep up with too much of our friends, right? So eventually we kind of lose that aspect of our life, which kind of sucks. But with networking, if you start actually bringing the friendship aspect of it to work, which is what's happening, then the two of them actually, I guess, interconnect, because when you become friends with people, guess what happens? You trust each other more. You start referring to one another. And now you're growing your businesses together while also actually enjoying that intimate personal relationship and having that fun in your life, right? So the reason that we got into networking events is truly just to capitalize on that. It's a great way to market your business. I call it live marketing as opposed to digital marketing. And it's because you get to actually make live connections with people, right? And there's nothing like a connection in real life. There's nothing like, as great as Zoom is, it's not the same as sitting down with someone, meeting with them in person, looking them in the face, sharing some kind of funny story with a waitress or something. You're forming a bond. You're forming a shared experience that you may not necessarily be able to do online, or that you may not necessarily be able to do with an ad, right? We all have competitors. All of our competitors are probably selling either the same or incredibly similar services or products as we are, right? So what is going to set us apart? There are many ways that we can differentiate ourselves. Of course, quality of service, right? Price is another one. Then specializing in specific things, right? Whether you're specializing in an audience, let's say, okay, we just serve restaurants or just serve medical, right? Or you can specialize in a service. We decided to specialize in event marketing, right? So when people come to us and they ask us, hey, can you do this, this, and this? Yes, sure, we can. But truly what people know us for is for events, right? And so that's why I decided to double down. If that's what we're known for, if that's the one thing that we are actually, that's separating us from other competitors, why not focus on that? Right. So at this point, we're doing 3 to 4 events per week, 5 this week, and they're regular events, basically For example, we have every Tuesday, 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11. Then we have our Wednesdays, which are our longest standing. So tonight I'm going to be headed to an event 5 to 7 o'clock. We're going to be at the Equus Inn in Ocala. Those are our wind down Wednesdays. We do the same thing on Thursday evenings. Then we're doing a new type of event on Friday evenings now called the Local Business Leaders Forum. So this is not necessarily business networking like our other events are, but they're more, it's a community forum. It's, hey, let's get together and let's actually discuss the things that should be discussed and that should be addressed that we usually would not discuss at a business networking event or in a business meeting. We talk about mental health. We talk about our own challenges, very intimate personal challenges that we have faced, our people have faced in foster care, with health issues, with mental health, with PTSD. We have so many veterans and we see them struggling, right? We deal with homelessness. How can we actually feed people? How do we actually not just feed them, but also take them off the streets and get them to working and get them to a better life, right? Some other issues that were discussed, and like what I love about this event, and it's our newest one, we've only done 3 so far, but we pretty much just ask everyone, it's not just business owners, but hey, show up and tell us what you're dealing with personally, because we don't know how to help someone if we don't know what they're dealing with. And if we're not dealing with that thing ourselves, we're never going to know, right? So for example, one of the things I love most is when our people bring their kids, right? So we actually had a 15-year-old at one of our forums, and that week it was actually about education. It just so happened that there were educators in the mix, and then we had a student in high school. And one of the things, as we're asking her, hey, what are the main challenges that you see as a high school student? Well, there's no mental health care, right? There's a guidance counselor, but those guidance counselors are there for, hey, here's what major you should choose. Here are the career tracks, blah, blah, blah. But she said, what about my friends who are dealing with eating disorders or who are dealing with anxiety, depression, suicide, right? There's not anything there for that, right? And if that's not at one high school, and this is one of the largest high schools here, I'm sure it's not at the others either, right? So how do we start addressing that? Now, I know the lack of mental health care in our area, right? So this is a topic that is incredibly dear to me. My father is a pediatrician, and we actually pretty much specialize at this point in mental health care because of the lack of mental health resources, especially for children in our community, right? So these are all things that we need to start actually collectively working on fixing, right? There are federal funds, there are local funds, there are state funds, but we need the right people, and we need people who actually care and who actually want to give some time and effort. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking, hey, do you know someone who can help? Give us a connection, right? That's all I need. But that's kind of the goal. So I kind of went on a rant as far as why events are awesome, but truly everything is people, right? Just as another example, I don't have children. One of the school teachers that was there, she's an elementary school teacher, and she says the main issue at the schools is the food. They're being fed completely processed, junk, sugary foods every single day, right? But then from my perspective, from when I managed my dad's pediatric practice, these kids are literally being kicked out of their classrooms and out of the schools by the teachers. And the parents are being told to, hey, come pick up your kid and don't bring the kid back to our classroom until they're on ADHD medication because they're disrupting our class. Guess what? I bet 90% of those are not ADHD kids. They're just hopped up on sugar kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and without, to your point, right? So the reason why networking is so important as a crux of marketing, right? And what we do for our businesses is it's all about community and bringing people together and connections, because the reality of if anyone that is steeped in sales and marketing, right? And I've been in sales for 20 plus years. Sonda's like marketing, right, expert, is you buy from people or you work with people you know, like, and trust.
Exactly.
So what happens is when you build these communities and when you start networking, then you start knowing each other, right? And then you create trust, right? And you gravitate to people you like. And that can lead to really amazing things from a business. And I know you do a lot of this, right? From for your business as
Mhm.
well, right? For LMS. And I have networking events for Ohana Investment Partners. But yes, a lot of other amazing things are coming from those networking events. So yes, do I do it for my business so I can talk to investors, right, about syndications and passive real estate investing? I do. We host 2 of those a quarter. But then I've also included a women's networking event
Mhm.
to help support and encourage women that are business owners, that are working in corporate, whatever it looks like. And so from that has come friendships,
Right.
like you said, right? And
Mhm.
relationships. And now I'm connecting with nonprofits I would have not otherwise been connected with. So
Right.
now, right, there's a philanthropic arm
Mhm.
that's coming from that. So when you
Exactly.
bring people together, and to your point, right, like we can do Zoom, and I'm a big fan. I mean, I do a lot of webinars, and we're obviously on a Facebook Live right now.
Yeah.
So it's necessary, right? And you are able to reach more people. You can scale. Otherwise, your reach is wherever your geographic area is. So it does allow you to scale.
Mhm.
There's nothing to replace human contact, human connection. I'm also a hugger, right? So like
Me
I want to
too.
hug it out.
Yeah.
So it's so important, and you can use it. And I talked to someone the other day. I said, I host events
Mhm.
also for my business. And they were like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Like, you can actually host an event. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to just attend events, and you
Right.
can. It's all dependent on your personality and what works
Mhm.
for you, right? And
Right.
I know you invited me and said, hey, come to our events, right? So I do a really mixed combination of both. I host my
Mhm.
own, and I go to a lot of events.
Right.
But that's how I'm growing my business, and that's what feeds me also mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So
Absolutely.
I love that connection. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how long have
Networking.
you been in business and running events?
So, events, again, as I mentioned, I started when I was 18. It was actually kind of like I did not think it was a serious thing, but my best friend and I had like we filled comedy shows with like we had at least 100 people in a theater in Manhattan on multiple occasions, sold out, right? And like it was pretty cool for 18-year-olds. I almost got arrested for selling alcohol to a minor while being a minor, but we're not going to talk about that. But now, basically, I've been my company itself. I have been active since September 2016,
Okay.
but we pivoted a lot, right? So we started as a healthcare management consulting company just because I have a bachelor's in psychology and my master's is in healthcare management because I did manage my father's practice for about 5 years. And so that's kind of where I started. And when I moved here, we picked up with the events as the community fairs that we started doing, right? So when I first moved here, which was the end of 2012, I first started going to some events, just like you said, and we had vendor tables. And then I said, well, why can't we do this, right? So we actually, where we are, we had a huge lot. It belongs to a church and they let us use it. And so we started doing annual community fairs. At one point, we had, I would say, about 50 vendors there, and it's all organizations that serve children, families locally. And it was amazing, you know what I mean, for our business as well as for myself, just forming all of these connections. And what people don't realize is that when you're doing these types of events, especially for the community, especially with a good cause, right? People are so willing to participate. They want in. You know what I mean? And they see you as a community builder, a community leader, right? So now they reach out to you as a resource if they have questions or if they're looking for additional events or if they want to be connected with someone from that event, right? So that's kind of like which it's a blessing and a curse because I love being that connector, but also sometimes I want to throw my phone in the ocean because it does not stop. And it's like, hey, can I connect you? Can you connect me with this person and this? And yes, here's the thing. It's incredibly fulfilling because then I know that the events are helping people build the connection. So why wouldn't I close that loop if that's what we're doing events for, right? Where it gets kind of annoying is where people start thinking I'm literally Ocala 411 and asking me what the weather is going to be like. And I'm like, listen, guy, like at this point, we're stretching here. But what I'm going to say is becoming a connector has truly been what has helped me grow my business. I have not, and this is horrible as a marketing agency, I don't market my agency, right? Like if you look up on Facebook, if you look up my business page on Facebook, Leading Marketing Solutions, I don't post on it, but that's because I used to post on it. And then I realized that I got nothing from it. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, Facebook business pages do not get enough engagement. Not enough, I don't want to say that, but they don't get as much engagement as your personal page does, right? So even if you are going to be sharing on your business page, make sure to also share on your personal profile, because guess what? The people on your personal profile are your actual friends, right? And they're a lot more likely to actually engage with you, like your posts, comment on them, share, right? And that's what Facebook wants to see. The more engagement you're getting on your posts, the more timelines or news feeds that post's going to end up on, right? So the more eyes you're going to get on it. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same people that are seeing your posts over and over again. You know what I mean? So that's why I always preach, yes, just like you said, right? Facebook Live, Zooms, all of these, they expand our reach so much exponentially because we are able to reach a lot more people globally, right? But what I'm saying, when you go to local networking events, the goal truly is to do both, right? So when you're at local events, make sure to add them on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever it is that you're the most active, right? Now, I direct people to my Facebook because my Facebook is where I'm the most active and where I'm the most me. Right. I have a pretty well-developed LinkedIn profile and I'll post on it, but I'm going to post business stuff on it. Right. And I'm not going to be as authentic or as vulnerable as I am on my Facebook profile. Right. So if our goal is to become friends with these people that we meet, add me on Facebook. Right. And then now you're going to still see everything that you would have seen if I was posting on my business page. We're still going to share all of our events. I'm still going to post whatever updates I may have, right? But this way you see it as a friend and not as a notification from a business page. And same with online. Sorry, real quick. Same with online. You make friends online on Facebook, let's say through mutual friends, right? Maybe friend requests you and you've never met them, but they're local and you see that they have a bunch of mutual friends with your friends or with you. So invite them to your events, right? So you want to combine the live and the online together. That's how it's going to be the most effective.
Well, and I think to your point too, is often when we have events, right, people are registering and you're building your email list is what you're doing, right? And email lists are golden because Facebook can't take that away from you, right? You can't freeze that account. You can't. And when we're relying on other platforms, you are vulnerable because they have, right, all of that in your hand. So you want to make sure you're building your email list, but it is really important. I love what you said, is not even just adding those people to your email list, but then also bringing them into your social circle onto social media. So if you're connecting with them in person, you're connecting with them through potential emails, and you're connecting with them on social media, the likelihood that they're going to get to know you and potentially do business with you is much higher because they have multiple touch points. So I forget where I read it, but it's like someone has to see you in 7 different places to really feel connected with you. And that can be, multiple Facebook Lives, that can be YouTube, that can be LinkedIn, that can be an email list, that can be in person. But when all those things stack up, then you start seeing a result. And it's not, often, and I don't remember if you said you charge for events. I know some people feel differently. You could charge for events, you cannot.
Our events are free.
Yeah. And so the ones I've done thus far have been free. We're going to do a combination, to be totally honest. So we're going to do a combination, but do what feels right for you and what's right for your audience too. Because if you're bringing people in, you may bring speakers in, right? Or you may have food and beverage, right? You want to make sure that that's covered. You're providing a value. And then,
there's nothing wrong with charging for events.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And events can look really different. We have some networking events that are purely networking. Right. Come and connect and build your community. And that doesn't have to be done through me, right? Whatever, just get cards, make that connection. And then there's an educational component to some events. So there's a really good hybrid of both. And people may come to both, or they may gravitate towards one or another. But
what I've found to be the best, honestly, to kind of mitigate that is to get sponsors. Because here's the thing. I have done events, even educational events, where I had catered food, everything, and I put a $25 ticket price. And guess what? People didn't want to go for it. And here's what I realized: it's not even necessarily the cost itself.
Mhm.
It's more psychologically the commitment that you're making to going to that event. Because a lot of the time, you don't know what you're doing 2 weeks from now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And unless it's like your sister's wedding, most of the time we're all only committing about 99%, right?
Yeah.
So what I found is that's the problem, is that yes, now here's the thing, tons of people buy paid tickets, and you know what I mean? So I'm not saying don't do paid tickets. That's just what I've seen from my experience, because my people were used to me doing free events all the time, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
and
I
I think
spoiled them.
yeah, so it's how you bring,
Exactly.
right? And then I know some people, people will RSVP and then not show up, right? And
Oh,
it's
all
really
the
hard
time.
to plan. So that's what I'm like. So I don't know. We'll circle back on this because I'm like, we're going to do a combination of both. And
Right.
I'm happy to say, hey, this is what's working.
Yep.
This is what's not. But, looking at growing your network, and Sonda and I connected through Judith, who was on, I think, either last month or the month before with me. And we were talking about impact investing.
Mhm.
So we recently connected through networking, and it wasn't a networking event, but it's just networking and connecting with people. And we totally hit it off. We're like, oh my gosh, what can we do together? We can do amazing things. And we can impact all these people. And it's when you put, right, it's the true, and mastermind is so overutilized at this point, but it truly is the concept of a mastermind. When you're putting two minds together, right, you get 3 or 4 or 400 if your mind is like ours, right? We're like, oh, this is what we can do. Let's do this. Let's do this.
But the thing is that we also have the network to pull in to amplify this so much faster.
Yeah. And so it's awesome. So stay tuned for that. So it's going to be amazing. But yeah, I know you said you have some clients coming in at 12:30, so I want to be respectful of your time. Is there anything you want to, and wrapping up, anything you want to share with us? Any networking or marketing tips?
I do. I have a story that just blew my mind, and so I shared it at the last networking presentation I did as well. And basically, a real life story. I was doing an event in St. Augustine. We're in Ocala, right? This was last month, and we were doing a direct mail campaign to hit the people around the event. And for those types of direct mail campaigns, you have to send it from the local USPS post office, right? So we printed everything, and I had one of my friends go and drop it for me. So it's about 2 hours drive there, 2 hours back. And so she gets there. I'm actually at a meeting, so I'm not home, not by my laptop. And she calls me and she's like, hey, they're not accepting it because you're missing this information, blah, blah, blah. And I needed to get into my account online to get that information. And I couldn't, right? Like there was no way that I could get it right then and there. And she was being told that they weren't going to take it. So now that's 4 hours of driving basically for nothing, right? And plus I have to send this thing out. I've got this event. So I get really upset. And I'm like, look, I've paid for it. You have the information. You know that it's in there. Like, just work with me here, right? And nope, they can't do anything. So I'm speaking with a supervisor, still can't do anything. So I'm like, let me speak to another supervisor. Guy gets on the phone. At this point, I'm pretty frustrated, right? And so I start giving him a piece of my mind. And he's like, hold on, I know that voice. And he's like, is this Sonda? And I was like, yes. And this is just the guy that I met years ago in Ocala. And he is now working in St. Augustine at the USPS post office that I needed him to be working at that day. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, I got you. And it went through. Just because of a random connection that I made years ago. You know what I mean? So it's just the power of networking, right? The power of connecting with people. So my lesson to everyone is, in marketing, they say, who's your target audience and your target client? And yes, absolutely, because otherwise you're going to waste a whole lot of time and money. But in networking, everyone is your target audience, because you do not know who you're going to meet. And it doesn't have to be someone that's going to be valuable or useful to you, right? Maybe you're supposed to meet them just because they needed to meet you. I met a girl, I went to a gas station bathroom and there was a girl literally crying inside of a stall. And I knocked on that stall and I said, don't make this weird, and made her come out, and I hugged her. And literally, like, we just stood there and we hugged and breathed together, and she was fine. You know, she gets these panic attacks. But the thing is that we're all humans. It's all about human connection, right? You don't have to help people by giving them money or jobs or whatever huge gifts that you think they need. You can literally change someone's day or even someone's life just by being there and having empathy and caring. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
No, and I'm a firm believer too. I'm like, there are no coincidences, right? Like, you're not, part of my affirmations in the morning is, divine intervention in my daily activities, right? And so I don't believe in coincidence. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Exactly. So look around you and connect with the people around you, because you're there in that environment, whether it's virtual or in person, for a reason. So what is that reason? Maybe you're there for someone else. Maybe someone else is there for you. But sorting out that reason can be really impactful and really magical. Yes, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you watching, we will make sure that we include Sonda's marketing company information, also a link to where you can find her events. So if you are local, you can check them out and you can connect with her. And thank you again so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And real quick, so our events right now are in Ocala, but as of May 1st, which is next Monday, we're going to the Villages. Then we're also coming to Gainesville. And then very soon we're coming to Orlando and Tampa. Before COVID, we already were in Orlando and Tampa. So that's not me just talking, like it's happening, guys. So, all right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you. You too.